Welcome to another episode of the Canon on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today talking about Phase 4. So Phase 4 is pretty much done now with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The Guardian special is coming out. Don't really matter. It's just a special. Not counting Werewolf by Night, which I haven't seen, or I Am Groot. Not counting those either. So yeah, we're talking about the main production movies and Disney Plus shows. I won't say TV shows, but they're all on Disney Plus. So anyway, I wanted to go through, kind of give my grades, my thoughts on each one quickly, and then kind of talk about the phase as a whole, because it has been a very controversial, divisive type phase. So let's look back, because if you like me, I don't think too much in phases, really, especially after Endgame. So when you say phase whatever, I don't really know. I mean, I guess technically I know Infinity War and Endgame are in phase 3 because they weren't in this phase, but still, overall, I don't really think about it that way. So first off, we had WandaVision, January 2021. I graded this a A. I thought the only real big issue I had with WandaVision was the finale. And that's kind of a theme with the Disney Plus shows. I don't feel like it stuck the landing, but I don't think it was offensive. You do have some of the normal Marvel stuff that I've been pointing out for years with the weak writing, but I really think the show did an excellent job building up the intrigue, which of course you won't get that again on a rewatch. You only get that the first time, but you still got to kind of give it points for that. And the performances was great. I thought it was really creative. But again, like I said, I think the ending was not what we really wanted, but also the Ralph Bohner thing was disrespectful, like jokingly disrespectful. But overall, I just don't think the finale really stuck the landing. But there's so much positive in that show. And then part of it, is the experience being wrapped up in WandaVision in real time. You knew how it was. And this was a statement by Marvel going to weekly. I guess by Disney too, where you had a lot of streaming platforms still at the time not, doing weekly. They do binge watching, and I said for many years I'm not a big fan of binge watching as much as I am with the weekly for a lot of reasons, and so I thought it was big for them to do that. And then, yeah, if you were watching in real time, you were wrapped up in WandaVision that just kind of swept the nation. So I thought it was really well done. And Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen were just great. All right, then we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, March of that year, right after WandaVision. And for me, I gave it a B+. Again, I don't think the finale really stuck the landing in the way they did things. And I don't think the Sharon Carter thing makes any sense. I mean, even with the benefit of hindsight, I sit here today and I still don't think it made sense. And I don't think it made sense when we started. From, the numerous numbers of characters that did things, some even worse things, and were okay, but Sharon Carter, who is the daughter or not daughter, but a relative of Peggy Carter, like they didn't give her a pass. I don't know. That was a little far-fetched. And then, yeah, it just didn't stick the landing, but the rest of the show was really solid. I do feel like it should have been more episodes because they started to touch on some things and we got pretty dark. I mean, this was really that first kind of step from Marvel into that where it was really dark. I mean, the Captain American shield covered in blood, like obviously they didn't show him murder that guy, but the way he killed him, like that was a step up for Marvel. And then to start talking about the race thing, which again, Black Panther was a representation and a metaphor, but it didn't really like go there. And this, I think, started to go there a little bit, tying in the experiments of black men or black people in general, especially in the army. And it's not like they made this up. This is from the comics, but to put it into the MCU was, I think, a big step. So, a lot of really good stuff. Great chemistry between Bucky and Sam, but I don't think either of them got enough time to really, you know, what they deserved. And they started to touch on the blip, but they really didn't go into it. And that's going to be a big criticism I have for this whole entire phase. All right, so Loki, got that in June. I gave it a B. This is actually the opposite. I think the final 2 episodes really put me on board with the show more than the rest. Not that it was bad. I think it was good. It just brings up a lot of questions that they never answered. And then you felt like, okay, well, we're going to see it throughout the rest of the phase. And we have not. I mean, obviously we'll get Kang and Ant-Man coming up, but we really have not gotten any true connection to Loki. And so I'm waiting, and I'm kind of each week waiting to see what the mystery is. And we don't get it to the very end. And even that with He Who Remains just adds more questions. But I love the last 2 episodes. I just really like the way they did it. And so that raised the grade up for me. Whereas I thought it was, you know, pretty above average, but I think it ended strong. So I gave it a B. Black Widow, never seen, haven't seen it yet, still don't want to see it, didn't want to see it. Yeah, probably won't ever watch it, to be honest. But I heard not so good things. So What If, I gave it a B. And I mean, now we know, again, at this point, What If has not connected to anything. Like the whole thing about Doctor Strange into the multiverse, or the multiverse of madness, you can maybe kind of say that Captain Carter's a connection, but not really. I mean, we have no indication that's her from What If. And then we thought Dark Doctor Strange was going to be that. It was a completely different Doctor Strange. Yeah, so What If hasn't connected to anything yet. So it's hard to even put it within the phases, but I thought it was good. I mean, I think it was good for what it chose to do with animation. I mean, not that it's inferior naturally, but it's just a harder bar. And obviously they didn't get everybody back, but I thought they told some interesting, fun stories. So, and then they wrapped it all together at the end, which was kind of, you know, whatever, but it was solid. Shang-Chi, I gave a B minus. This came out in September. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'll have to rewatch my review, but it just, there was no pop to me. It was just like above average. It was solid. It was just a solid movie, which isn't bad. It was just solid. I do remember the end, the third act or the climax fight. I was like, whatever. I was like, it was so CG, and it was like, we got like 2 hours to train, and now we all know how to do this stuff. And it was just, yeah. It didn't end as interesting as it started. And yeah, there's nothing from that movie that really, you know, roused my interest. Although they got a little dark with, you know, his mom, how his mom died and the revenge part of it all. But yeah, I just don't think it tied together well at the end. Eternals, I give it A minus. And this is one of those projects that got affected retroactively, because if you did this outside of the MCU, I think it's just a great movie. I mean, you just talk about the themes they explore, the way they connected to history, the way they set things up. It's so different that it don't feel like Marvel, which is why people didn't like it. But once again you put it in MCU, the questions started to come up and things don't make sense. The way they set things up, you come out of there like, wait a minute. So if this is this, then how come this and how come that? And then it doesn't fit. Once you put it in the MCU, it just adds more questions. And again, that's the MCU's fault. That's Kevin Feige's fault, quite frankly. I mean, I know they're all different directors. I know they have all different styles and whatever. And that part doesn't matter. It's your job as the coordinator to make sure they stay within the bounds. And this phase especially, they've just gotten out of bounds. Like, the stuff they write just completely contradicts something else. Some stuff in the shows contradict the earlier episode. So when you put Eternals in MCU, it lost some steam for me. Hawkeye came out in November as well, towards December, Christmas area. I gave it a C. It was solid. I mean, I thought the writing was super weak. Most of it didn't make sense. I like the chemistry of Jeremy Renner and everything. And I love Haley Steinfeld even prior to this. But, yeah, the whole Kate Bishop character did not work for me. And, I mean, what they did with Kingpin was horrible. It just, although I do love Kate Bishop, I love Elena, even though I didn't watch Black Widow. That was funny, but still just, I don't know, kind of weird. I don't know. That show was just real trash to me. Not trash, sorry. I shouldn't say trash, but that show was, it didn't do it. All right, so then we got Spider-Man No Way Home, and I gave that a B. That came out right before Christmas. I mean, that movie's full of plot holes. That movie is full of plot holes, and it is a complete... I wouldn't even say a gimmick. It completely relies on the Thing. I won't call it a gimmick, but it relies on the Thing. Like, the whole movie relies on the Thing. Nothing else in that movie really matters or means much. Like, the whole, we can't get into the, I don't remember if it was Harvard or whatever it was, MIT, whatever. We can't get into college. Like, what? Like, bro, people would disappear for 5 years. Like, that's what y'all worried about? It did not work. And then the Doctor Strange was stupid. It did not work. But for the sole impact again of the experience, I'm going to give it a B, because seeing it that first night and even that second time, I mean, with people with the energy, the nostalgia, you can't deny that. But yeah, you go back and watch it again, it's not the same. Even though I do want to rewatch it bad, I wish it was streaming. I'm thinking about buying it. I mean, it's fun, but it's not quality, to be honest. So, Moon Knight came out in March. Gave that a B+. The finale was weak as crap, as continues the theme. The finale was pretty weak, but at the same time, I think the positives outweighs everything else. It was a good experience up until then. They told a diverse story and they went into a different direction that we haven't seen. Again, within the world of the MCU, just continues to bring up more questions about how does this work with this? And then it didn't connect to anything in the MCU, which I'm not going to give a big negative to. But that is obviously part of the phase. And so that was a little weird. But I thought it was strong. Obviously, Oscar Isaac is a great actor, and I thought his acting was great. I thought the CGI, the way they brought the Moon Knight, different versions of him together, all that. But once they introduced the other gods and all that stuff, then it just fell off. The writing got weak. Even though the interplay with him being in the insane asylum and stuff was great. And again, you talk about dark. You talk about his mom blaming him for his brother's death and beating him and all. Oh my God, very dark. And so that stuff, that juicy stuff, I like. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we got that in May. I gave that a C+. That movie was super full of plot holes. Don't really care about what anyone said. I mean, I wouldn't say I don't care, but I've not heard any good arguments. I think it's pretty objective. They completely retcon the arc they have for Wanda at the end of WandaVision. And so there's so many plot holes in there. It's ridiculous. And then on top of that, I thought just the ending and the way it all ended, it was meh. It was very meh. Yeah, the whole horror elements of this, it didn't work. It didn't work because honestly, people say, "Oh man, they let Sam Raimi really get into it." No, I don't think they let him get into it enough. And using Wanda is just a weird choice after the journey we had with her with WandaVision, to really try to make her this, scary villain and all that. It just, it didn't work. It really didn't work. And then after that, in June, we got Miss Marvel again. I might sound like a broken record at this point, but I gave it a B plus. I love I love most of that show. I forgot her name, but the star is a star. Her chemistry, her energy, love it. I cannot wait to continue to see her, the family, diving into something different with the culture. Again, getting a little dark, going into the partition and everything. The bias and the surveillance of the Middle Eastern people. It was good. It was real good until it wasn't. At the end, the last 2, maybe 3 episodes was just no. First of all, didn't explain half the stuff in the way it ended. And then again, here we go. Brings up more questions in the MCU that we don't get an answer to, and it makes it confusing. But yeah, the show, the acting, the writing, the production was so good until the last few episodes where it just went off the rails, and the finale was one of the biggest pieces of trash I've seen out of all of these. I would probably say Hawkeye finale was worse, but I did not love Miss Marvel's finale, but I gave it B plus. Thor: Love and Thunder came out in July, gave that a C plus. Cause look, I probably would give it lower, but it was funny. The funny parts were hilarious. I would never take that away from Taika, but for what the character and what the movie was, they did way too much, and the story was brittle weak. It was terrible. The story was absolutely terrible, and the tone went way out of whack. But the laughs I had were hilarious. I mean, I could turn on that movie and have some good laughs, but it is kind of sad. It's almost like a special. Like, I expect to feel that way watching Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. That is what Thor: Love and Thunder felt like. It felt like a little special. It felt like which I think Taika directed, those little shorts they did with Thor and his roommate. It felt like a little spin-off thing on the side to laugh, not a main character adventure. So, and then the way it ended with him having a daughter, it was just trash. Then we got She-Hulk. August just happened. Or not just, it's November already. But I gave that a B. Again, finale was horrible. Actually, I gotta take it back. She-Hulk is the worst finale of them all to me. And I already talked about it and everything. But I really like the show. But looking back, I give it a B. And I really like a lot in it. But it was misdirected. I have to say, given the benefit of hindsight, it was misdirected because there is very much a difference at winking at the audience or maybe even poking fun at the audience and completely slapping the audience in the face. And so especially when you're tackling a sensitive topic. So do I mind that they win at, a lot of the misogynistic and all that, trolls and all those, type people? Not at all. The way they did it, to the point where the end they was like, yeah, we did this on purpose. We actively tried to do this to make fun of y'all. And I was like, okay, yeah, like you were being divisive just to be divisive. And then the finale was horrible. So I can't give you points for that. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. And then Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is still kind of fresh. I probably won't go see it again in the theater. Saw it twice. Still trying to figure out where I come down on it, but I'm going to give it a B plus for now. So that is my phase 4. If you average it out, I guess it will probably come to a B, high B, close to a B plus. Only a couple A's, and one was a movie, one was a TV show. But yeah, I mean, and only one that the lowest was a C. So I don't think this phase was horrible. I think this phase was mediocre. And to be quite honest, sometimes that can be worse. I mean, look, I love the DC stuff, most of it. Trying to think off the top of my head, the Harley Quinn movie, didn't like. The Suicide Squad with James Gunn, did not like. Couple other, Wonder Woman 84 was horrible. Shazam, I mean, I like Shazam, but it was kind of, middle of the road for me. So, but for the most part, I like DC. Obviously, the popular narrative online is that it was absolutely horrible. And yet, out of that, you have this incredibly ridiculous Snyderverse fans. Hey, it happens. Obviously, the MCU was great. That was the popular word of mouth. You have these crazy MCU fans. I think, honestly, some people would say the worst thing you could be is mediocre. So I don't know. It feels kind of that way. Well, they say, the worst thing you can feel is apathetic. You love it, you hate it, but we don't want you to feel nothing. And that's how Phase 4 feels to me. It feels like nothing, because nothing feels like the MCU. These all just kind of feel like spinoffs. Like, I'm literally going down the list and I'm thinking, like, what does it contribute? What does it contribute to the world? And again, like, I'm not going to say the quality of it depends on how well you connect, but when we're grading the phase, I mean, that's a big part of it. And so you look at WandaVision, doesn't really set up anything. Wanda goes from that, and she's the only person we see after that, and she's darn near a different character. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, obviously they'll have a movie following up, but nothing really came of that. No one talked about the world or the blip or these terrorists or Zemo getting out. No one. I mean, they did bring in Black Panther and all, or the Dora Milaje, which was nice, but that didn't affect anything in the world. Loki has not affected anything yet. We'll see Kang, but they've completely, in Doctor Strange, ignored the whole premise of the multiverse in terms of time, and multiverse became like actual different worlds. I didn't see Black Widow. What If didn't really connect. Shang-Chi, we didn't see any ramifications from that or anything. Eternals completely has, like, Erisham. There is a celestial hanging out of the earth right now. And we saw an Easter egg clip of it in She-Hulk, which was searching for Easter eggs to put in the show. That's it. We have not heard. You talk about Namor. Don't we think that Namor might notice this giant celestial hanging out of the earth? And you worried about people looking for vibranium? And then you got Hawkeye, which, no. Spider-Man No Way Home completely actively divorced itself from the MCU. Moon Knight didn't connect to anything. Multiverse of Madness probably had the most kind of connections, but not really. We haven't seen anything come from that. Miss Marvel connected towards the end. We haven't seen anything come from that. So it just seems like it's all set up for Phase 5 maybe. And I guess, we have a right to question if it's going to connect or not, because so far it doesn't seem like they've been too interested in it. And so I feel, again, a lot of these properties were disserviced by being in the MCU, because when you introduce the Egyptian gods and you say, I'm the god of the night and this and that, in the same world where they're celestials, in the same world where Thanos snapped half the people, in the same world where they tell Miss Marvel there's a mirror dimension right on the other side, in the same world with Shang-Chi in this magical universe. Like, come on, it don't fit, and it hasn't made sense. Not to say that it can't fit, but Marvel has done nothing to try and make it fit. It's just a bunch of crap. It's just a bunch of stuff happening. And so I am going to be curious how they handle it in Phase 5. But as of right now, and again, we're talking about Phase 4, it was just poor because a lot of the quality wasn't there. Like, it just wasn't. But B, I just don't think the world building made sense or felt relevant. And so That's why for me, overall, when I'm looking back on Phase 4, I have to say it was average. I know the average grade probably comes out to a B, which is above average, but I'm gonna say it was average. It was average because I'm looking at this list. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I'll go back at some point. She-Hulk, I'll probably watch some episodes. No Way Home, I'll rewatch, and that's it. Falcon and Winter Soldier 2, I have rewatched some of those episodes. But other than that, and Loki, I only watched the finale of Loki because it's just to watch Jonathan Majors. But I will barely go back to rewatch this. So I'm going to give it the grade it deserves for how it hits in the moment. But as far as longevity and replay value, it ain't there. It ain't there at all. So anyway, that's it for me. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. And if you heard it here, it's official Canon.